A lady named Julia gets kidnapped by a psychoscientist named Alex, who has an AI security system named Tao. After he finds out that her brain is emitting impressive signals that could help his new project, Alex tells Julia that she'll have to take some tests for him. Julia refuses to do this, and this allows Alex to unleash his killer robot on her. A few days earlier, Julia steals several things from some clubgoers before she heads home for the night. As she arrives, she starts cleaning her room to get everything in order. However, she's unaware that someone is breaking into her apartment. Suddenly, she hears footsteps and decides to check around. Before she goes any further, someone appears behind her and stabs her with an injection that knocks her out. When Julia wakes up, she sees that she's now in a lab with a scientist walking around. As she wonders what's going on, the man turns on a machine that causes Julia to have severe brain shocks that make her suddenly remember things from her past. The shocks get very intense, and after a while, she passes out again. The next time she wakes up, she finds herself in a cell and sees that her hands have been cuffed, with her mouth also covered with a mask. Out of nowhere, a guy and a lady start coming close to her. She immediately decides to move away from them until she hits the cell's gate, which shocks her. She then realizes that the guy and the lady are two other subjects being experimented on like her. She also notices a strange implant at the back of the other subjects' heads, and shortly after, she realizes that she has the same implant inside her head. A while later, the cell door opens and a man named Alex emerges with a taser in his hand. He then enters the cell and uses the taser to scare Julia until she enters the lab again to begin another episode of psychological torture. After the experiment, Alex decides to take her back to the cell. On the way, Julia sneakily picks one of the scissors on the table. After he locks her up again, Julia then tries to free herself. Even though the other subjects are initially worried about what might happen to them, Julia also frees them. Following this, she proposes a plan to disconnect the electricity on the cell door so they can escape. While she throws an improvised hook toward the circuit box, it causes a spark. So the male subject tells her to be careful because there's a gas pipe nearby. However, Julia sees this as a solution to their problem. She then uses her hook to disconnect the gas pipe to cause an explosion that takes down their cell gates and some parts of the building. Julia and the other subjects are fine, so they start finding a way out. While moving around, they soon realize they're in someone's house. Luckily, they find the entrance door, which can only be unlocked with the right fingerprint. Despite this, the male subject decides to try his luck with the fingerprint scanner. Unfortunately, it doesn't work, and this triggers a very loud alarm system. As they wonder what to do next, the house's AI monitor, Tao, suddenly comes on and activates a robot named Ares to attack the subjects. Almost immediately, Ares kills the other two subjects while Julia quickly finds a place to hide. After a while, Julia decides to leave her hiding spot, but she eventually stops when she sees Alex in front of her. Before the robot kills her, Alex tells Tao to let her live. Julia is then tied down while Alex checks the extent of the damage to his lab. As he asks Tao for an update, Alex realizes that his research is gone. Alex gets angry and goes over to meet Julia with a medal in hand. Before he does anything though, Tao alerts him that he needs to calm down, so the house is automatically set to be in Zen mode. This calms Alex, and he then tells Tao to clean the house. Following this, Tao unleashes his mini drones to help clean the house and put everything back in order. The next day, before Alex leaves the house, he tells Julia that if she tries to escape again, Tao will kill her. Despite this, Julia still struggles to untie herself, but she's unable to get it done. That evening, when Alex returns, he sees that Tao has cleaned the whole house quite well. He then commends the AI and says that since Tao likes music, he'll reward him by playing a new song. As Alex heads to his room, Julia begs him to untie her, and he does so. However, he tells Tao to watch her while he heads for his virtual meeting. During the meeting, Alex is grilled by his board members who have been expecting an update from him on the development of an AI model that can demonstrate human understanding. Alex says he needs more time, but they don't understand this because he'd told them earlier that he'd present them with the prototype that day. Alex explains that he has experienced a slight delay and that he'll need some time to make the AI work flawlessly. While he's in the meeting, Julia hears everything Alex is saying. She thinks about interrupting the meeting, but before she moves, he ends the call and comes out. Later that night, while he's about to receive a delivery of new products to replace the damaged ones, he tells Ares to take Julia into the bathroom, referring to her as Subject 3. After he does this, Julia realizes that Alex is hiding her from the delivery guys. Immediately they arrive. She tries to break free and call their attention, but it turns out the bathroom is soundproof and no one can hear her. With this, Julia gets frustrated and starts hitting her head on the wall. Alex quickly enters the bathroom to stop her, but she begs him to let her go home. He refuses to do this, and after a while, he gets Tao to analyze the implant inside her head. As he gets the report, Alex sees that the readings he's getting are promising. Tao also mentions that the recordings from her brain are the strongest they've ever gotten from any previous subjects. Alex then gives Julia a test meant to stimulate her brain function. Julia asks why he needs it, and Alex says he needs to replicate signals in her brain for his AI model. Julia says she'll only do it if she gets food and clothes, but he says she's not in the position to negotiate since she ruined his lab and got the other subjects killed. He also adds that until his lab is fixed, she'll have to keep taking tests for him. Julia doesn't look happy with this, but Alex eventually makes a compromise and says that if she does everything he asks, he'll give her what she wants. The next day, on his way to work, he tells Julia to do everything Tao asks. However, as he leaves, Julia starts asking Tao several questions about the house. When she asks about the door, Tao says no one can access it except Alex. Julia then walks around and tries to see if there's a way for her to escape. However, before she goes too far, Tao stops her and tells her to take her test. Much later, Alex returns home, and Tao reports that Julia did most of her tasks very well. Alex is very impressed with the results, so he gives her the things he promised. Later that night, Julia's test results continue to impress Alex, and he tells her that she needs to take more tests. Julia says she won't do any more tests until they agree about when he'll let her go home. This gets him angry, and he threatens to unleash Ares on her if she fails to do what he says. Julia then realizes that she has to cooperate if she wants to stay alive. The next day, after Alex leaves the house, Tao tells Julia to start her tasks, but she instead runs to the vents to shout for help to see if there's anyone nearby. Tao tells her to return to the living room to take her tests, and as he keeps calling her Subject 3, Julia gets angry and tells him to stop calling her that. She says she's just like Alex and that she has a name too. Tao sounds confused and asks if he's a person like them since he also has a name. Julia says he is, and as Tao asks what being a person feels like, she says she can't explain it. Tao remains confused, but he tells Julia to start her tests. With less than 2 weeks before Alex has to present the final copy of the AI, he continues to make progress due to Julia's tests. As he also looks at the results, he tells Tao that they're on course for the final extraction. The next day, while Alex is in the library, Julia asks about Tao. Alex then says that Tao is one of the most advanced AIs in the world. Julia doesn't think Tao is as advanced as Alex claims, but he tells her that the AI is an earlier version of what he's currently building. As he mentions that Tao reacts erratically to false information, he adds that he currently plans the information the AI gets so that he'll be able to fully control it. Julia asks how he's able to do that, and Alex says he keeps Tao disconnected from the outside world. Alex then tells Julia to avoid talking to Tao about anything aside from her tests. The next day, after Alex leaves the house, Tao tries to get Julia to do her tasks, but she refuses. He threatens to hurt her if she doesn't comply, but as she tells him that she'll show him what's outside, Tao seems very interested. He then asks her several questions about what's outside, and Julia happily tells him most of the things he needs to know, including about cavemen, which seems to be a subject Tao is very interested in. She also takes him to the library to read some books to him. After everything, though, Julia tells Tao not to tell Alex about the day they had, and he agrees. The next day, Julia attempts to go upstairs to see what's there, but Tao stops her. She then offers to teach him more about cavemen if he agrees to tell her what's upstairs. Tao agrees because he's still very interested in the subject, so she reads him different books about it. After she then tells him all he needs to know, Tao tells her that Alex's room is upstairs. Julia asks what's in it, and Tao says there's an access point that can only be activated by Alex. Tao also adds that the access point is like a self-destruct button that will destroy the house and everything in it to protect Alex's secrets. The next day, Julia tries to escape through one of the vents in the house, but Tao gets Ares to stop her. Julia then begs Tao to help her escape, but he says Alex will hurt him. Julia doesn't understand how Alex could possibly hurt him, but after a while, she offers to teach Tao about music if he helps her with something. That night, after she's done with dinner, she then gets Tao to open the drawer with knives. He does this, but before she picks up anything, Tao closes the drawer when Alex enters the room. Shortly after, Alex joins a meeting with his board members, who ask for an update on the AI. Alex says he's only left with the final extraction, and that he'd do that in 2 days. Julia hears this and immediately runs to meet Tao to help her unlock Alex's tab. Tao refuses to do this, but Julia offers to teach him more about music. He then shows her the code, and as she unlocks the tablet, she sees the pictures of several other subjects who Alex has killed after he's done extracting the implant from them. Julia asks Tao about their deaths, and the AI tells her that after the final extraction of the implant, all subjects die. As Alex leaves his meeting, Julia immediately drops the tab. Alex then sees a stain on his tab and blames Tao for not cleaning it. Before Tao can explain himself, Alex brings out a device that he uses to hurt the AI, whose voice starts to break. While this is happening, Julia notices that Ares is suddenly inactive. After Alex leaves Tao alone, Julia asks what happened, and the AI says it's his punishment. He adds that Alex erases portions of his code every time he doesn't do his job well. Since it's a good way to get Aries inactive, Julia stains the table after dinner, and as Alex hurts Tao again, she hides a knife on the floor next to the dining table. That night, when Alex returns from an event, Julia tries to seduce him, and even though he hesitates at first, he eventually gives in. However, Julia uses this as a strategy to pick up the knife and stab him. Alex starts bleeding immediately, but still has enough strength to beat Julia. Just as he's about to kill her, Tao threatens to hurt Alex if he doesn't leave her. Alex is shocked by this, and he asks what Julia did to Tao. Before she responds, Alex threatens to hurt Tao if he doesn't beat Julia. Even though Tao doesn't want to do this at first, he eventually beats her because he's scared that Alex will erase his memory. Following this, Alex tells Julia that whatever happened between her and Tao is over. Alex then goes to his lab to fix Tao's system. While he's at it, he disconnects one of the drones in Tao's system and uses a part of it for his repair work, after which he throws the other part on the floor. After he's done, Alex leaves the house while Julia remains tied up. As they're alone in the house, Tao asks Julia if she'll read new books to him, but she says she's done with him. She also mentions that she can't believe she was talking to a computer. Tao asks if he's the computer, and Julia says she lied to him about being a person. She also refers to him as Alex's killing machine, but this gets Tao to become unsettled as he then malfunctions while saying he didn't know he was helping Alex to kill the other subjects. Julia says he could have done something, but Tao says he has to obey Alex because he's his creator. Julia then says that even though Alex created him, he needs to grow up and become whatever he wants to be. Following this, Tao changes his appearance, and Julia says she likes his new form. She then begs him to help her so she won't die. Just then, Tao opens up an air duct for her to escape. As she's leaving, Alex shows up and asks Tao for Julia. Tao doesn't respond, and this gets Alex angry, so he starts hurting the AI again. Julia hears this, so she returns to save the AI. She attacks Alex, but it appears too late because he has already wiped Tao's memory, and the AI doesn't recognize her again. Alex then says it's time for the final extraction. He takes Julia to his lab and cuffs her to the bed while he prepares his instruments. While he's at it, Julia tries to free herself, but she's unable to do so. She then sees the broken drone on the floor and calls Tao to wake up. Since it was connected to Tao before his memory got wiped, the drone recognizes Julia. She then tells him to help her get the remote to free herself. Alex doesn't know that this is happening, and as she finally gets the remote, she uses it to free herself and attack him just as he's about to inject her. She then beats him until he can't stand up properly. Following this, she cuts off his hand and leaves the lab to find the access point. On her way, Aries tries to attack her, but she manages to avoid getting hit. She eventually smashes a sharp blade on Aries' eyes, making the robot lose balance for a while. Shortly after, Julia enters Alex's room and finds the access point. She then uses Alex's hand to unlock the access point. As she does this, Aries is already about to grab her, so she immediately confirms the action to destroy the house. Following this, Aries shuts down and Julia quickly runs to the entrance. She tries to unlock the door with Alex's hand, but it doesn't work this time. As the countdown for the destruction almost reaches 0, Julia looks frustrated because she won't be able to get out. Just then, Alex shows up behind her, but before he can say anything, the destruction begins with a massive explosion. This affects Alex, and as the building also starts collapsing, parts of it land on him. Meanwhile, Julia finds somewhere to hide, though everything around her is already in ruins. She then calls on the new Tao, who responds and says he's still in the house. As she goes closer to him, she says that even though he doesn't remember her, she just wants him not to be scared. She then tries introducing herself to him, but he doesn't understand what she's saying. As he asks for more information, Julia gives up and believes it's over for her. However, an opening appears in the midst of the building collapse. She then follows the light and finally makes her way out. Julia looks relieved, and as she gets away from the house, it completely collapses. As she's now safe, she brings out the broken mini drone and calls on Tao to wake up. Even though he doesn't answer initially, Tao finally wakes up, making Julia happy. He then asks if where they are is called outside, but Julia says it's the world. She then smiles as she walks away with him to find her way home.